Monday class. We do a class on Mondays and we do one on Thursdays here at Beadaholique.com. Now you might also be watching it on Facebook or YouTube. So wherever you are coming from, welcome. Thank you for joining us and being part of this amazing community. So I do have to tell you before we get too far in that this is actually pre-recorded. So I always love to say, it's live and it's, 2 p.m. Pacific time. So I can't say that today. I mean, you are watching it at 2 p.m. Pacific time, but for me, this is pre-recorded because I am up in Seattle right now, helping out my parents with some appointments. So I had to go midweek. I try to go on the weekends if I can, but it just happens sometimes. So I am up in Seattle. I'm actually hoping for a little bit of rain because I don't get to see rain too often, but I'm hoping for no snow. So I'm hoping for just some wintry weather, but still drivable. So thank you for joining me. During this show, we are going to be making a bracelet. So the whole show is going to be dedicated to finishing touches for jewelry design, especially as it pertains to bracelets. So we've talked about a lot of these in separate shows, but we've never put one together for a finished bracelet. So we're going to be looking at thread and wire protectors, crimp bead covers, a safety chain for your magnetic clasp. I know that has been a request for a while now, so we're going to talk about how you would add that, what you would do, and the supplies that you would need for that safety chain. We're also going to talk about ball head pins. They're a really nice finishing touch. We're going to add a little special dangle to our bracelet as well, and tucking our wire ends as well. So all those little pieces and those little elements that add up to create a really nice finished professional piece. My chimes, my Christmas chimes. So it's going to be a fun show today. Feel free to ask questions and comments. We still are going to have Michelle and Thaisa in the background helping with this, so they'll be able to answer questions even though I'm not here live. So I'm sorry I can't say hello to everyone. I can't answer questions, but they are both jewelry makers and they will be able to as well. So the show is going to work the same way as always. If you like what you see, the hearts are great. If you want to save this content, you can share it to yourself. It's that little arrow icon, or you can share it with friends. And then we have the shopping bag icon, which has everything in my show, including the tools preloaded. So it's easy to find. And then you can add it right to your shopping cart from that little shopping bag icon, and you never leave the fun that we're having here. And a quick note, things are selling out quick. We are going through our closing sale. So I hope, I'm pre-recording this not too far in advance on purpose. I hope everything you see is still available here. But just a quick note, everything is on sale. It is selling through quickly. So I know Michelle and Thaisa can provide substitutes if something did sell out or sells out during this show as well. All right, we're gonna have fun. I'm gonna flip my camera down. We're going to make a bracelet from start to finish, but we're gonna add all those little finishing bells and whistles, just so you end up with a really beautiful, professional looking finished bracelet. And then you can apply these ideas and techniques to all of your jewelry designs as well. All right, here we go. So this here is what we're going to be playing with today. So this is our color palette. I kind of wanted to go with an icy blue, silvery. So these are check glass pearls, some English cut. I love the cobalt. There's a navy check fire polish, a silver one. So lots of pretty, pretty beads. I even have this vertical whole leaf right here, which is really pretty as well. And these are all very, very affordable as well. A lot of them were from that show I did recently where it was everything $1 or less. So the beads are not very expensive, but when we put them together in a design, they are gonna look very luxurious and just beautiful. And so those are the beads we're gonna use. We're gonna pick some that we wanna do. I'm gonna use a little magnetic clasp right here. So we're gonna do that. We're gonna add a little safety chain as well. So I just have some chain. Now I do believe that this chain is currently sold out. You are going to want to just have a nice, delicate little chain. Here's like a gold version. So it doesn't have to be a certain type of chain. You'll just want it pretty delicate so it doesn't weigh down your design. And then we're going to be using crimp bead covers. They look like little Pac-Mans. We're going to be using thread and wire protectors. We're going to use some ball head pins. Now, ball head pins in general are really nice. They definitely add an elevated touch to your designs. So even if you're not making a bracelet or a necklace, if you're doing earrings, these are a really nice little added touch. Also, another thing to consider is we're going to do a bracelet, but I always think the nicest finishing touch to a necklace is right up by the clasp. If you take a little ball head pin, you just put one bead on it from whatever your design is. You make a little wrapped wire loop, so you make a little dangle out of it and you attach it near your clasp. I always feel like that's just the nicest touch, and oftentimes in boutique like designer jewelry, I'll see that up near the clasp. So that's just another little idea and tip. We're going to be using crimp tubes. So instead of crimp beads, we'll do crimp tubes. These are little 2x2s. We'll need a couple jump rings, and that's pretty much it. Then for our beading material, we're going to be using 0.015. You can do 7 strand, 19 strand, whatever you like. We've got a couple bead stoppers, always handy, a ruler to figure out how much we need, a pair of standard crimping pliers. Then we'll be using just our normal tool set that we pretty much use for everything. So 2 pairs of chain nose to open and close jump rings. We're going to do the wire looping to help create a little dangle, because we are going to add a little dangle to this bracelet. And then a pair of cutters for both your head pin and your beading wire. And if anybody is just joining me, I know we have a lot of friends who come in after the intro. Please note this is pre-recorded. I'm actually up in Seattle right now. I'm helping my parents with a few appointments, so I had to go up on a weekday while everything was open so I could help out. So I am there right now versus live. I know we're always live, and I much prefer to be live, but sometimes family matters come up. So just a quick note on that. I'll probably mention it a couple other times. I just don't want anyone commenting and thinking that I am ignoring them or not saying hello, because I love our community and I would never want anyone to think that I wasn't responding. So I'll probably mention that a couple more times. Okay, so those are our core supplies and materials. And what we're going to do to start is we're going to start by cutting ourselves a length of the beading wire. Now I'm going to do about a 7-inch bracelet, and I then want 3 inches at least on either side. So I'm looking at about 13 inches, and Twix got a hold of this, so it is very messy. Let's go ahead and we're going to try to get a bit of it here. I don't know if you guys, if your cats are also very mischievous and they think beading wire is the best thing in the whole world and that we invented it just for them to play with. That is definitely what Twixie thinks. So I do want 13 inches, so I'll just cut a little bit right here. And again, everything I'm using is there in that shopping bag. So if there's any questions about sizes, colors, quantities, anything like that, just go ahead and look in that shopping bag icon. It'll have everything preloaded. All right, so we've got our beading wire. Now we're gonna take our bead stopper. Oops. They are like little springs. And so we're gonna take our bead stopper and we're gonna place it about 3 inches from the end. And that will give us plenty to, at the end of the day, wrap around our other thread and wire protector and our crimp tube and be able to crimp our bead. So now we are ready to see what beads we want and to start playing. So I wasn't thinking of using each and every one of these. I was gonna pick the ones I thought looked just really great together. So I'm going to drop some. I think I wanna use this cobalt. It's so vibrant and beautiful. So this is a little 3mm English cut cobalt bead. So let's open that guy up. I really love that. And I think it goes beautifully with this blue pearl. So here is a check glass pearl. So let's put the pearl with the cobalt. I don't usually do a lot of blue designs, and I'm kind of loving the blue and silver. And then, maybe this silver as well. This is a check fire polish, 4mm. And this is like not a full coat silver, so it's got some of the crystal that shows through. So it's really quite pretty and very, very sparkly. And then I'm debating whether I want to put it with this dark navy. I do like the dark navy, but it's very dark. Or we could do these leaves. Let's do the leaves. Even if we only use a couple of them, you get a giant strand of them. So this is a huge, huge strand of these like frosted crystal leaves. I think we might only use 2 of them in the center, but let's have those out there. And then I'm kind of looking at all of these, which if we want, I mean, we could add a pretty gray pearl. Let's put in a gray pearl. Again, we might only use a couple of it, but let's have that as an option on our mat as well. I always like laying everything out so I have lots and lots of choices and can just see what starts to look good together as we build it out. So now I'm gonna try to find where my wire went. Okay, here it is. So here is the beading wire. Of course, you don't need a needle. We're gonna start with a crimp tube as our first bead. So we're gonna go ahead and slide that down. And I'm going to just start adding some beads in a pattern that I think looks nice, but we might change it here at some point too. So it's always kind of fun to just start stringing on and then see where we end up. And you can always take that bead stopper off of the bottom right here and change your order from the middle. Like this could end up becoming the middle. Just slide them on down, remove your stopper, and then you can add from there. Okay, let's try then a gray pearl, followed by another cobalt. The cobalt is so perfect and just vibrant. Okay, so we're gonna have, I think, a lot of that cobalt in here. And then let's do another blue. I'm trying to see the pattern, and I'm going to hold it up here in just a minute so that we can all see what we've got going. Okay, so this is what I've got thus far on here. So it's just a really pretty pattern. It's one of those bracelets that you could just wear with anything. It'd also be a really good gift because I feel like it's universally appealing. It's going to be something that everybody is going to like. Okay, and then let's do another cobalt. Let's do a silver. And after we do the silver, I want to try putting on a leaf. So let's see if we put on a leaf going this way. And then, oh, I think it might need a cobalt first. I think that cobalt is going to be our anchor. Okay, let's try another cobalt. Let's do a leaf. Nope, I changed my mind. It's too much of a contrast. Let's do the leaf right after the silver. This is part of the fun. So let's do the leaf right after the silver, and then let's try let's do a silver. So it's kind of got a pale area in there, and then a cobalt, a blue pearl, a silver pearl, and another blue pearl. I just want to see what this is going to look like. We might undo it. Oh, I think it's actually going to be really pretty. So this becomes the middle of your bracelet design. And then that's probably almost at the halfway mark as well. So if we were thinking that this is going to be about 7 inches, that's pretty spot on for your halfway mark if this is the center of your bracelet. So I am going to continue that. I think it's pretty. It's a little bit different where you have the symmetry happening and you have a repeating pattern, but then you have something different in the center as a just kind of unexpected little focal. All right, so this time I'm going to string on the leaf going this way. So it comes out. So then when it folds around your wrist, it's going to be kind of like the leaves are radiating out. And here is your center of your design. And then let's just string now the same pattern on repeat, but reverse. So we'll start from here and go this way over here. And this is coming together very quickly. I love stringing projects like this. I think they're very freeing and creative, and they're just a joy to do. All right. Now there's silver, and I'll hold this up when we're all done just so we can see what it looks like. And then we need a blue, another silver, and another cobalt. That cobalt is kind of the star of the show, I think, here. It's just really very vibrant and intense, but in a good way. Okay, and just a couple more beads, and then this is going to be strung, which is nice. Okay, and then one more. another cobalt, and I'll hold it up again here in just a minute. And I think that's gonna be the length of our bracelet. You can see what it's gonna look like. Let's put the ruler against it. I think it should be about 7 inches. Yeah, it's gonna be just a little under 7 inches. Here, let me diagonal this so we can see it. Yeah, it'll be just about 7 inches. Now the clasp is gonna add a good 1/2 inch. So this might actually be a little bit on the long side, but the average bracelet length is 7 to 7.5 inches. So I think it's gonna be okay. So let's just put one more crimp tube on here, and then I'll lay it out so the entire bracelet is strung right now. So we can see what that looks like. All right, let me straighten this up. I'm gonna show it in the round as well, because I always do like seeing it in the shape that it's going to be. So this is gonna be your bracelet shape. Here is your top focal, and just the little bit of leaves and just that pretty, pretty pattern of the silver and the blues and all those nice kind of icy colors and denim-y colors. Okay, so we're ready to, we've got the crimp tubes already on there. We're gonna add our first finishing touch here, and that's gonna be thread and wire protectors. So if you're not familiar with these, they're really great. It might be easier to actually see them in gold. So I brought gold over. We have used them sometimes in the past. Basically what they do is they protect your wire from wear and tear. They also create a really nice uniform loop for you. It is a nice finishing touch, especially if you're making and selling jewelry. It's just kind of that added little professional element that you can put on it. So these are called thread and wire protectors, wire guards. They have lots of different names. They have a little channel, and you go up through one side and down through the other. So we're gonna do that right now, and we're going to attach it onto our magnetic clasp, which I am going to do my best to separate out. Magnetic clasps are very strong. And then at the very end, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cover our crimp beads with covers, and we're going to add a safety chain. And the purpose of a safety chain is if your magnetic clasp ever gets caught on anything and comes apart, that safety chain keeps your bracelet from falling off and getting lost. So it is a nice element to put on your jewelry. It's something you don't see that common anymore, but if you look at antique jewelry, it was very, very common. So with the thread and wire protector, you go up one side, and then you go down the other side, like so. And you make like a little loop. So you see right here. And this is going to, when you pull it tight, what's going to happen is it's going to sit in that little channel. Now, before you pull this into your crimp tube, you're going to add the ring from your magnetic clasp to it. So you're basically going to string it on. Okay, so you're going to string it on, and it's going to come and go through the little thread and wire protector right here and latch onto it. So it's going to sit within the well. So you see, and now when this gets kind of pulled or twisted, it's not rubbing against your wire, it's rubbing against the metal of the thread and wire guard. And then you're going to take your end of your beading wire, put it through your crimp tube, slide that crimp tube up, and then what is nice to do is to separate it out. So you've got two really distinct strands, and what's going to happen is you are going to come in with your crimping pliers, and they're going to stick to your magnetic clasp like they always do, and you're just going to have to work around it. And depending on how strong your magnet is, it can be challenging. Like you can see what it's doing right here. So I'm gonna actually close up my clasp, because that is gonna, I think, make it stick a little less in theory. Yes, already better, okay. Because it doesn't have that exposed magnet that's trying to anchor onto my pliers, which are of course metal. All right, so I'm hoping to be able to show this to kind of expose it right here. So you've got that thread and wire protector right there. The clasp is on it. And then what you want to do is have your crimp tube in the back notch of your pliers and separate out your strands. And then you squeeze and give it a good squeeze. And it makes like two nice channels. Then you're going to turn that on its side. and you're still struggling with the magnet, which is just the way it is, and you're gonna put that in the front notch. And when you put in the front notch, you're gonna give it another good squeeze, and it's gonna fold over on itself. And that is a crimped crimp tube. So then I like to take the end of the wire, put it through one bead, so just the adjacent bead, slide all my other beads down, let gravity work its magic. And I'm gonna do the other side in the same way. So again, I'm gonna get a thread and wire protector, go up through it, then down through the other side. And then I need my other half of my clasp, and I'm gonna keep it secure like this. So I just need to go over here, and you'll see why in just a minute. It actually makes life a bit easier. So let me go ahead, put this wire through it, pull it. All right, so now I have something to hold on to, but of course I wanna make sure that all my beads are down properly. So there's no gaps. I don't want any big gaps in my wire. And I'm gonna pull it. And I will straighten it up here in just a minute. Okay, so there's my crimp tube. I need to go through my crimp tube again. Okay, now I can start to pull this. And you know what? I think in this case, I am gonna trim this wire, this spare wire, a little bit earlier. I usually do it at the end, but it's kind of getting in the way. So there we go. And now I'm gonna slide all my beads down and then pull. And this is what the finished bracelet is gonna look like. So I've got this here, there's no gaps. I'm pulling it tight, but not so tight that it's stiff. So that is another reason to do this in the round where you have your clasp actually attached to itself, because you can actually get the feel of what the bracelet's gonna feel like. Now, another big advantage is when we try to crimp this crimp tube, now we have something to hold on to because of that magnetic clasp. So it's much easier. It's not getting in the way nearly as much, right? So I'm just gonna pull my wire down, make sure there's no gaps. I don't see any. And I'm gonna crimp it just like so. So I just crimped it. And now I'm gonna do its side crimp as well. And crimp. And now I'm gonna feed it through that one adjacent bead over here as well. And I just feel like that makes the end stay put a little bit better. I don't know. Some people trim it right after they crimp it, which is totally fine. I just like to put it through that one bead. Okay, so essentially our bracelet is done with one finishing touch, which is the thread and wire protectors, but I wanna add some more. I wanna add crimp covers, I wanna add a safety chain, and I want to add a little dangle as well. So I'm gonna do all of that. Okay, so now we're gonna add our finishing touches. So here was our finished bracelet, which is beautiful how it is, but we're gonna kind of just add all the bells and whistles here. So I'm gonna take my chain nose pliers, and I'm gonna grab one of these crimp bead covers. I dropped it. I'm gonna grab one of these, and I'm going to hold it in here, kind of like a Pac-Man. So the opening is facing out. I have heard people say they do this with their crimp pliers as well, and that works well. So that's another thing to try. So I've got this in here, and I'm gonna go over my crimp bead, and then I'm just gonna squeeze it. And what that does is it creates a little ball right there. So it's almost like an additional bead. And you can see here the difference. Here is with the crimp cover, and you can always go in and tighten it up. So if you look here, it's got like a little gap right there. So what you can do is you kind of go in and you just squeeze it from different angles, and you close up that little gap. So there it is. And so if you look at it side by side here, here's that exposed crimp tube. And here it is with what basically just looks like another bead. So let's do that on the other side as well. So again, think of a little Pac-Man, and we're gonna go in here and we're gonna slide it over and pinch. And then after you've got it pinched on there, you can go in and tighten it up, but you wanna get it over that crimp bead first, and then you can do all your finishing and touching there. All right, so now we've got the thread and wire protectors, we have the crimp bead covers. Now we're gonna add a safety chain. So I have this really delicate little chain right here, and I'm going to cut about 2 inches. So essentially, once you put the safety chain on here, you're gonna need to be able to get your wrist through it. So you don't want it so short that you can't squeeze your, like here, like I can't get my wrist through here. So however long you make it, you have to be able to get your wrist through it because you're no longer gonna have this infinite gap here. So I think 2 inches is gonna be just about right. So I'm gonna measure 2 inches. And that should allow me to then slide that bracelet on. So I'm just gonna cut through one of the links, and I've got a couple little jump rings. And this is really great to do if you are using the thread and wire protectors because they give you something to anchor to. So you can either anchor to the clasp itself or the thread and wire protectors. I think I'll do the clasp, but I think there would be no problem if you needed a larger space to anchor to. Let's go ahead and open this up. We'll grab one of the links right here. And we're going to slide it onto that loop. And it is magnetic, that clasp. It keeps reminding us that it's a very strong magnet. And we're just gonna go in there and then close it on up. And we're gonna repeat on the other side. And this is how you would make a safety chain. So safety chains, like I said, you see them a lot in antique jewelry, vintage jewelry, really fine jewelry. I know I have some pieces that were passed down from my grandmother with some gemstones on them, and they have safety chains. So I've seen them with like pearl bracelets as well. So if you're worried about losing your bracelet, that's when you use a safety chain. Okay, close it on up. So now we've got a safety chain on here, and when you open it up, so in theory, if you were to put this on, and then you've got it secured, so you do have a little chain that dangles near you, but if you were to be walking around and your bracelet got snagged on something, it would not fall off. So you would still have it because you've got something to anchor it. But I'm gonna separate this out, slide it off, and then we are gonna do one final finishing touch here, and that's going to be just a little dangle, just a little something unexpected hanging from the side here. I do see that a lot on boutique jewelry and necklaces too, not just bracelets, but it's just kind of that one extra little thing to make you go, oh, wow. So we're gonna create a little dangle here right now. It's time for the final finishing touch, which is just going to be a little dangle. I'm probably gonna hang it from the thread and wire protector. So I'm going to grab a ball head pin. We already talked about how ball head pins are really nice. They're just, again, that extra special something. I'm gonna put on a cobalt bead, just one. I don't think it needs to be anything too elaborate here. I'm going to grab the wire with my wire looping pliers, squeeze, push down, rotate up, crisscross, and then that makes a really nice uniform loop. And we're going to twist it around for our wrappings. You could twist it a couple times. Everyone is a little bit different. I just did a couple there. And then for another finishing touch is tucking your wire ends. So this is really important because not only is it a nice professional finishing touch, it also prevents scratching, getting caught on sweaters, lots of things. So to tuck that wire end, you're just going to pinch with your chain nose pliers. So you're just gonna kind of pinch that wire and fold it into your wrappings until it basically disappears. And now you don't have a rough edge there. We're gonna grab another jump ring, the same jump rings we used before. These are just little 4mm jump rings. And I should probably do another little reminder. This is pre-recorded, everyone. I always love doing them live, but I'm up in Seattle right now with family. So if you are commenting, I know we've got Michelle and Thaisa helping us, but I'm not able to answer questions just because it is pre-recorded. So if you're wondering, Julie, why are you not talking to me or anything like that, I'm so sorry. Like I said, I definitely love doing them live, but sometimes family obligations come up and things need to get taken care of. All right, so we got that little dangle on a jump ring, and we're gonna put it on the side here. And our pliers are gonna stick to our magnetic clasp like they do. And then we've got that, and that's just going to hang nicely. So if you see here, this is really all the stuff that we've done here. Let me just get this in line. All right, so you can see our whole clasp closure here are the finishing touches. So we did a crimp bead cover on both sides, or crimp tube cover, I should say. We did thread and wire protectors. We did a safety chain, and we did a little dangle just to add just that final little wow factor. And then here you go, and then you would slide this over your wrist, and then your bracelet would not fall off. And you could experiment. Maybe you don't need it this long. Maybe you can make it 1.5 inches. We cut 2 inches. But I think you could experiment to see how much length of chain you need to comfortably slip over your wrist and make it so that it's not too long while you're wearing your bracelet. All right, guys, I'm gonna flip the camera back up so we could say goodbye. So let me do that right now. Thank you everyone for joining me and being here with me. I know this was pre-recorded, but thank you for watching, and I hope everyone learned something new, was given something new to think about. Maybe they haven't been doing in their jewelry designs. Is something you want to add to your jewelry designs. I always love how part of this community and part of what we do here and everyone coming together is we're always sharing ideas. We're always thinking in new directions. We're always just expanding upon all of our creativity. So I hope you took away something from this video that is giving you just something else to think about or to play with. So that's always a positive, and I hope you did. I will be back live later in the week. So I'll be back on Thursday. This is Monday. But I will be back Thursday, and we'll be playing and creating something new and talking live, which will be great. So thank you again for joining me. Don't forget, if you have anything in your shopping cart, remember to check out. I do know things are selling out quickly. So if there's something you want to get a hold of, it's best to grab it now, especially with the good discount as well. So this video, if you want to go back and rewatch it, will be available just shortly after we say goodbye today. It'll be saved and archived. And of course, as we've been mentioning before, even once Beadaholique is officially closed, we're going to keep the YouTube channel up. So all these videos will still be available. They'll still be that resource, which is wonderful. All right, take care, everybody, and I will see you live on Thursday.